Some people don't walk into a room. They apologize their way in. Their shoulders curve inward. Their voice lowers before anyone asks. They move carefully, like their presence itself might be an inconvenience. Most people don't notice, but that quiet behavior didn't appear overnight. It was learned, and it was learned early. Not being loved as a child doesn't always look dramatic. It doesn't always involve shouting, cruelty, or obvious neglect. Sometimes it's much quieter than that. Sometimes it's the absence of something you can't name as a child. A mother who was emotionally unavailable. A father who was physically present but mentally distant. A home that provided food and safety, but not warmth. No one asking how your day really was. No one noticing when you were hurting. No one reflecting back to you that your feelings mattered. And when that happens, the child doesn't think, "My parents are struggling." The child thinks, "It must be me." That belief forms silently. I'm too much. I'm not important. I don't deserve attention. I guess I'm not worth the warmth. That message doesn't fade with age. It settles deep into the nervous system. Psychology calls this attachment patterns, the emotional blueprint we build in childhood that shapes how we connect later in life. If love felt inconsistent, distant, or conditional back then, your brain learned to associate closeness with uncertainty. So even years later, when someone treats you with care, part of you stays guarded. You wait for the withdrawal. You wait for the disappointment. You wait for the moment it ends. This is why love can feel uncomfortable to people who grew up without it, not because they don't want it, but because their body doesn't trust it. They might test it without realizing, pull away just as things get close, choose emotionally unavailable partners, or quietly detach before anyone has the chance to leave them. It's not self-sabotage, it's self-protection learned too early. Many of these people describe themselves as too independent. They pride themselves on not needing anyone, on being strong, capable, low maintenance. But independence born from survival isn't freedom, it's armor. As a child, you learned that needing people led to disappointment, so you adapted. You became self-sufficient. You learned to rely only on yourself. And while that strength helped you survive, it also taught you to deny your own needs. Psychologists often label this emotional neglect, but that term feels too sterile for something so deeply human. What it actually feels like is standing outside a warm house in winter. The lights are on, you can see people laughing inside, but the door isn't open to you. So you tell yourself you don't need it. You convince yourself you prefer the cold. But late at night, when everything is quiet, you feel it, that deep, wordless ache. People who grew up this way often become incredibly perceptive. They read the room instinctively. They notice shifts in tone, body language, energy. Because as a child, love wasn't just comfort, it was survival. You learned to detect emotional danger early. Your nervous system became a radar for rejection. That skill kept you safe once, but in adulthood, it becomes exhausting. A short text reply can feel like anger. A delayed response can feel like abandonment. Neutral expressions feel like disapproval. It isn't overthinking, it's conditioning. Neuroscience shows that children raised without emotional attunement often develop heightened stress responses. Their brains stay in alert mode, always scanning for threats that may never come. You learn how to protect yourself from pain, but not how to receive love without suspicion. And here's the paradox. People who were emotionally deprived as children often grow up to be deeply loving adults. They overgive, they show up early, they stay late, they try harder than anyone else. They become caregivers, listeners, healers, trying to offer others what they never received themselves. It's beautiful, and it's heartbreaking, because they often give until they're empty. They struggle to accept the same care they freely offer. They feel guilty for needing rest, reassurance, or support. Somewhere inside, they still believe love must be earned. Healing from this kind of childhood wound isn't about blaming parents. Many caregivers were doing the best they could with what they had. The real work is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for believing it was your fault. for chasing people who couldn't meet you emotionally, for abandoning your own needs just to feel chosen. You weren't broken, you were adapting. As a child, blaming yourself felt safer than accepting the truth that love could be unreliable. So your mind made a rule: if I become good enough, useful enough, quiet enough, I'll be loved. That rule followed you into adulthood. It hid inside your ambition, your work ethic, your perfectionism. You weren't chasing success, you were chasing belonging. This is why compliments make you uncomfortable, why rest feels undeserved, why you minimize your pain, why you say, "I'm fine," when you're not. Because once, showing need didn't bring comfort, it brought nothing, so you learned to hide it. But here's something important. That emptiness you feel isn't evidence that something is wrong with you, it's evidence that something essential was missing. Human brains are wired for connection. Love isn't a luxury, it's a developmental need. Without it, the nervous system stays tense, waiting for rejection even in safe spaces. Healing doesn't mean tearing your defenses down all at once. It means understanding why they exist. It means gently teaching your body that connection doesn't always lead to harm. You start small, letting kindness land without guilt, allowing silence without assuming abandonment, receiving care without immediately trying to repay it. Slowly, the old patterns soften. You stop seeing yourself as damaged and start seeing yourself as resilient. You stop asking, "Why didn't they love me?" and begin asking, "Why did I believe that made me unworthy?" That question changes everything, because the love you missed as a child didn't disappear. It was never expressed, but the capacity for it remained. And when you begin offering that love inward, when you stop fighting your own needs, something quiet but powerful happens. You stop surviving, and you begin to belong. First, to yourself.